Hi, I'm Lucas, and I'm back here at the Capstone Exhibition here at the UB GameLab with...
Hi, I'm Professor Bridget Blodgett, an associate professor in the game design program.
And now we're playing MoonChild, one of the games from my classmates at, I believe, Four Eye Games is their moniker.
So I love, the first thing, like off the bat, this art style is just gorgeous.
I agree. I really like what they were able to do with the Toon Shader.
Although there isn't a lot of explanation as to what's going on or the controls.
Yes.
But I do see shiny bits, so we're just gonna go right after the shiny bits. Because when in doubt in a video game, find the shiny thing and attempt to touch it.
Absolutely. Oh, they added another NPC up there, I see. Did they lock the movement while you're in conversation?
Nope.
Okay.
I wonder. So it's really interesting sometimes in teaching courses, because lots of times the first things when you have students beta test each other's games, the other students immediately attempt to break the game.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of doing.
Well, that's also your inclination with these, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, no. Now I wonder, could you keep going?
Possibly. I did see someone earlier manage to map hack. Okay.
Certainly.
So that was the full conversation.
Yeah. I believe the some of the keys have powers to them.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is their night vision. So you can see these purple.
I think that's the E key.
Yes, that sounds correct. And I believe there's a roll with one of the other keys as well.
So Sprint did that little...
Mm-hmm. I know there's a howl.
Ah. Okay, so I can dash with that.
Oh, we're going to get a cutscene.
Well, okay. I think it's fair to show it off. Yeah, so the green orbs apparently are a cutscene.
And a warning to headphone listeners, there's going to be a piece of audio here in a minute that will ruin your ears if you're not careful, so be mindful of that. Just a warning.
So it's interesting. I wonder why they decided to attach it to the green crystal pieces, because this is really contextual, and this would be one of those things that would make a really good starting cutscene. Or even just split it up in a couple different pieces to kind of ground what you're doing when you're first dropped into the world.
I'd agree with that. I think that would also have a good impact on the fact that I've actually heard people say that they would prefer if this was skippable.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see some of it and then you have the option to just kind of move on. So maybe splitting that up would be beneficial on that end as well.
Yeah, enough, a little bit at the beginning to give you some context of what you're doing, and then have some a little bit later to kind of say, okay, now that you understand how to move around and stuff, here's some other stuff to actually pull you in further, kind of. That's one of the big things in game design is you need the initial hook to get the person playing, but then, a paragraph, in story writing or further in, a couple minutes in, you need something to actually pull them in further than that hook's real initial draw would be.
Yeah, I think this comes across as a little bit starker just because there aren't, you don't really get the controls in game as much. So like this being your first introduction after you have this area where you kind of explore the controls and all that, does feel a little late.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting. That's something that I know that I've seen lots of times, kind of in the experience in games with students' games, particularly in a game design program. So many of our students are gamers. They assume everyone knows what a default control structure is. So yeah, I was able to sit down and figure out, Sprint's my shift key. I use the mouse button to look. I use the control probably to crouch. E probably does something special. There we go.
Oh, that was a roll.
Yeah.
Oh, can you press E a little bit longer?
There we go. Okay, E does the roll apparently as well.
then you had the howl.
Okay, that's F.
Yeah.
So kind of they do use it, but it's not something, if you sit somebody down that's never done a first-person shooter, it can often be very difficult for them to figure out these control structures from the start.
Yeah, and I know for me, I'm more of like a controller-based gamer. I usually just play Xbox if I'm going to play. For my PC, I want to use Unity and mess around more than I want to play a game. So, like, talking to you about this, I would have had no idea what even to tell you, like, to try in terms of keyboard controls.
And it was interesting. We had the head of the department, Dr. Ron Costanza, came in and frequently comes in to do to these events that we hold for the capstone projects. And you can crawl through there and there's no map on the other side.
Oh no.
But had never used the standard first-person controller. And some students sat him down, and he's like, I don't, and handed him the controller and expected him to go in something in the Bethesda engine. And he's like, you have to tell me what I need to do because I've never used that control structure before.
I believe if you hit F on that wall, it will disappear. It's using that howl to break down the
Yeah,
stone.
I had a feeling there was probably, too soon. There was something, they did a really good job kind of indicating
I still think these...
with that glow mechanic.
I think these platforms need to be a little bit more pronounced. Because the top ones are fine, but like those first ones are just too thin.
Yeah. Have you talked to them about, was that meant to be like a more difficult series of jumps?
I mean, I did talk to them about I did talk to them about that at one point. But it came across as it wasn't an intentional use as much as they thought that, yeah, we should probably make that a little bit more easy for the player. But I am not a part of this group, so I could be very wrong about that. I will say this is one of my favorite areas of the game, just because it feels very full and you've got a lot of life going on.
Yes. I love the little island animations that all the NPCs have.
Yeah.
Will you talk to me? Hi, friend.
That's...
R for night vision. Okay.
Yeah.
F to how. Although one thing I've noticed about many of the games I've been seeing, not just at the presentation tonight, but in classes in general, is we'll have to do some additional work on interface elements, particularly buttons and UI components.
Yes.
Because they're kind of, at least using, since we do push Unity and teach that in the classroom, Unity's default buttons are terrible. At least visually, they're very visually unappealing.
Yeah.
And I think we need to do some work on how to modify them.
Yeah, because there is the option in Unity, because I was doing the UI for Inkwell. There is the option to have it basically just be a picture that changes. So you can set a custom image for your button, and then set it so that when you click it, it changes to a different image. I feel like that tends to be more visually appealing.
Although they did a good job with the opening start screen.
Yes.
Where the start and the options buttons were very nice text.
Yeah.
On an invisible button background.
Invisible wall.
It's smart. If you don't want to put in a health mechanic for dealing with fall damage.
Yeah.
And I mean, dealing with pathing issues on walls and platforms is always extremely difficult. Nope, that one was apparently not an invisible wall.
Yeah.
So overall, atmospherically, this game is pretty well done.
I agree. I like what they did with this. This was a lot more bare the last time I saw it.
Yeah.
But this is looking really good. supposed to roll through it.
Yep, I was trying.
Or is that something you entered from somewhere else?
Well, let's try something else. If brute force doesn't appear to be working, then maybe there's another path that you're supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
Oh. I thought I had it there. Okay. So if I can't run and jump, let's see what my options are. Okay. Also, the roll key is the E key, not the R key.
Yeah. That.
I wonder if I'm
You gotta really hold it.
Ah, yeah, I did. Okay. So that lets me get inside.
And this is where you'll stay.
Forever. This is your home now. I want that one up top, though. So hopefully I just didn't miss my opportunity altogether.
I think that's actually just the final NPC.
Shh, we're gonna wall hack a little.
Wall hack. Oh goodness. They added barriers here
Oh,
too.
they did. Like I said, the students really do tend to like immediately try to find the exploits, which means there is some pretty good playtesting that happens.
I would say that was probably one of the biggest things that we got out of playtesting in class for this game was that some invisible walls were definitely needed in places.
Yes, and people will find them almost immediately. I teach an intermediate programming course for students, and one of the things that immediately happened when one student sat down, they were doing a dual stick shooter, kind of like Geometry Wars, was the person immediately attempted to clip through the walls and bypass all of the enemies directly to the boss room, because they found, that particular corner where the two things didn't meet quite perfectly. And so every playtest we did, their first attempt was to immediately cut through the wall again. With surprising success. The team would close off one thing and they'd find another one.
Honestly, that's a good thing to find out during playtesting.
Mm-hmm. It highlights, obviously we don't have the levels of quality of assurance that a professional company would, but
you get some funny stuff.
Yes. You can still pull out, with even just, a 20, 30-minute playtest session where every team gets a chance to go up. To another really good atmospheric room. Beautiful fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that.
Wait, that's not the way I came in. Shall I?
No. Nope. No, you shan't.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
It's all good.
Really pushing it there.
Shh. I made it. It's fine.
I mean, I will say I'm impressed with the amount that they were able to put in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a fair amount of content. And although there's not like a ton of asset reusage, you can get away with trees and stuff, but there's a fair amount of diversity within it.
Yeah.
I probably should have not rushed off the top of that and looked at the solution to the map puzzle.
That honestly, that probably would have been a good idea.
I'm not the patient type.
I wonder if you can just use the yeah, that'll do it. That's awesome. See, I can show them this later and explain what happened. Apologize that this is on the internet, but that's...
Did I miss any? I did.
Yep, there's another cutscene.
There we go. Okay, so I found all the moon orb fragments, I think.
I believe so.
So I did see one of the other students playing this, and they had 33 of the small light fragments,
Yeah.
which was just a phenomenal amount.
That is a lot to find.
Yeah, because although I'm hardly being exhaustive here.
Yeah, there were, I did notice like maybe 4 or 5 at the beginning that were just kind of like on the side that you don't have to get, but you can get if you're explorative. I appreciate that you didn't like try and find every single little one along the way, but
Well, and that's actually something that's kind of nice because you can get the story and you can still advance. And I'm glad that they didn't like.
that is my favorite.
gatekeep.
That is my favorite of the 2D art pieces they have for this this game. I really like that shot.
That is nice. It was nicely framed with the fade in towards it too.
Yeah.
Oh,
they
and
they
then
even
there
have
it is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I thought that was a mouth for a second, not a nose.
And now you're gonna get exhausted with the search.
Oh no! I just want to see what's on the other side of the maze.
Yeah. So they've got to raise the height of the walls by just a little bit.
Or put a penalty for it. That you don't necessarily have to block people off. You can just disincentivize them. So losing health or some other way of. I've seen people, instead of it, just teleport them back to the beginning of the maze if they cheat. And that's. You quickly realize what the solution is to not do exactly what I'm doing. And that kind of works pretty well as a player management technique.
You could also have each layer of it go progressively higher, so the player has to try and climb it
That's true.
to get to the center. That would be a fun little.
So I'll get these
mini-
last couple pieces because they're here and they're pretty obvious. That one didn't have a light under it.
Exactly. I appreciate that they did that. Okay, so the other ones are just close enough to the ground that you can see it, but that one is not. So it looks like you gotta go towards that white fire. Or up there.
I'm trying not to move the camera around too much so it's not nauseating to watch.
Yeah, we actually one of their last changes was to the camera. It used to be free movement with the mouse, but I think that the way they've changed it makes a big difference in playability and just like how easy it is to look at.
Oh yeah, and it's as long as you're pretty controlled, it's really easy. Just sometimes when you get the jerky, quick change things, it still swings a little wildly.
But I'm going to say that we should probably stop here.
One by the fire, with all the babes. There we go.
And there's the shot we'll end on. All right. So any final words?
No, it's really well done. I've been impressed with all the games that were produced this semester, and just genuinely, you guys continue to wow me.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for playing, and we appreciate your feedback.
Yeah.
And we'll be back soon. Hi, I'm Lucas, and we're back at the Capstone Exhibition for UB's game design students, and I'm here with
Joey Bull, lead designer and creator of Cardboard Carnage.
Yep. This is a 2 to 4 person fighting game centered on the idea that, like, how would it look if we had a bunch of different cardboard boxes or box type things fight each other.
Yep. So, our intro is designed and created by John Rubling. He did most of the video work for this game and a lot of the sound work.
So we can't hear sound, but they can. They should be able to. I just
talked over it.
It's totally fine. Don't worry about it.
You can cut this part right now.
It's live.
Okay, cool.
No worries. I mean,
Just make sure. don't want to say anything bad.
That was smiles, not rhymes with like Myson. Those copyrights, man.
I'll be honest, we did not look in the copyright for a lot of this. Lord knows what laws we broke.
This is an educational purpose for this material. As long as you don't make any money off of it, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I don't see us making a lot of money off of it.
Is this skippable?
Yep.
All right.
That's
So
fine.
we're just gonna jump right into gameplay.
Yeah,
then.
we're jumping into gameplay.
Two-player. Who would you recommend I play as?
A lot of people really like Smiles, but I'm hearing Box Cutter's one of our best fighters right now.
All right, well, I'm gonna go for Box Cutter. See if I can get that competitive advantage.
I like Kitty Litter, so I'm gonna go with
Cat's out of the bag.
Litter Box.
Puberty today.
I don't remember.
All right, and then any stage recommendations?
I just hit random.
All right, let's go to random. How many rounds do you want to do?
Three. I
All
think
right.
three. Three's good.
Let's do 3. So A's to jump, B's to block, X is light attack. I like that better. Y is heavy attack. All right. Ready.
Yep.
Begin. So you want to talk about any, like, if your thought processes for the character design at all?
I believe you're controlling base characters or something right now, which is really weird. Yeah, you're controlling both characters.
That's
That's something I was
cool.
aware of. Not something I was aware of. Yeah, that's weird. But yeah, for the most part, I set up the animations for these characters. I set up the environments for the most part. There's some characters and animations done by John. John is very talented. He has a very new school art style feel to the game. And
beat up your cat here.
the cat is his. The samurai box armor character was designed by me. I rigged and animated every one of the characters in this game. So there's some issues still here and there, but overall I'm actually very happy and pleased with what I was able to get done.
I'm coming for you.
It's so crazy that you can control those.
That's honestly, I'm pretty amused by it.
It makes me want to get another controller so we can show it off, right? But I am happy with it.
Oh. It's amazing how I can win when I control both players.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like
It's pretty nice.
I love the convenience.
So yeah, we just tried to run the game with one controller and the keyboard, but the controller overrode the keyboard, which something I've never tried before. It's not really a big deal.
Yeah. We're probably not gonna be able to get a second controller to work properly with
That's
this,
fine.
just because
Yeah.
it's a little
That's fine.
wonky trying to
I
get
just-
the drivers.
We just want to show off the game slightly.
Yeah, I mean, it's still like you can still appreciate like the 2D art you have in the UI here. You can see some of the stickers. If we hop into the two-player, like the player screen, you can see some more of the 2D art. You can see they put a lot of thought and care into each one of these characters, how they're going to act. I know you guys set up different like character controllers for each one of them to try and get some different feel for each one. Like Strongbox is supposed to be a safe, so he's like slower but hits harder.
Yeah, so each one of the characters was supposed to have a personality that matched their game style and their gameplay. So their mechanics should have matched their personalities. So the slower, stronger characters should have been slower and stronger, and your lighter, fast characters should have been lighter and fast, and their attacks were a little bit weaker. We definitely struggled with some of the mechanics to get them to move around. We definitely struggled with some of the coding for this. It was much more than we expected. But overall, like I said, I'm pretty happy with what we got with the time. I mean, in reality, we had 6-7 months to get this game done. So where it ended up, I'm happy with it because my main focus was art, and all the mechanics and stuff came second, and it should have been the other way around.
Yeah, I will say you did get a very clean look for the game. It looks like it was.
You probably size drawing the whole time.
Yeah, it was size drawing the whole time.
It's okay.
I'm sorry about
It's good
that.
to go through a run through anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that 2-player thing. Yeah, that just threw me off because it should work because we used to do it in class all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe something has changed since then.
It's got it's got performance anxiety.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you have any final words on the game itself, I'm not gonna make you come back in here again to do this twice.
That's okay.
So
Yeah, the game. I'm happy with it. I'm not sure if this game will continue on with design, but it very well may.
is there anything you felt like you really learned from like this whole capstone experience?
I learned that sometimes your ideas need to be let go. Sometimes you need to keep things more in scope, and even if you're really set on a certain way things need to be, sometimes you need to like deviate from the original plan and try something else.
Yeah, it's always good to be adaptable. I think that's a good lesson to learn from any project, especially capstone.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for hanging out with me here and playing a
Thank
little
you
bit.
very much, Lucas.
And that should be it. We may be back with one more person. We'll see. Thank you guys for watching.